My name is Naomi Seaward and I am a designer, maker and creative entrepreneur. I studied surface pattern and textiles at Swansea College of Art and it was the best decision I ever made for myself. I was initially meant to do business management at university, but the brilliant team at Swansea College of Art scooped me up and I have not regretted a day since. I always knew that I loved to draw as a child, but I never knew really where I would take it. So in university I basically found my passion for designing interiors and it really just kick-started me into where I am now. The course really instills curiosity and playfulness, so I learnt a lot about myself as a designer, as an artist, and I also learnt how to use lots of different equipment, how to help me in where I needed to go. So I really found my love for screen print and laser cut at the same time while studying alongside my drawing. So in my final year of university, I decided that I really wanted to learn how to illustrate a certain way. So I set my heart on learning how to illustrate the way I do now and learning all the techniques and skills that I would need to sustain me post-graduating, and I came out with a really fantastic collection for interiors that I still use now and develop from in my own professional work and with all the work I do with other groups. My current workspace is in a community studios in Swansea called Elysium. I share it with another fantastic designer and we have really made the space our own and made it fit for purpose for what we need. It's a really lovely place where we all work together and we bounce off each other, and we have a lovely contained space with all the tools and equipment that we need to keep making and keep experimenting and continuing to work on our work. We've been filling the space with all the lovely things that we need to inspire us and to keep us making and being innovative and creating. And certain tools that I can't live without are honestly my pencils, because they're the springboard of where I start every project, with a pencil and a paper, and that really drives everything I do, and I definitely couldn't do what I do without them. And then the other flip side of it is all my digital tools, so it's my Mac, it's my iPad, it's my Wacom that I honestly couldn't live without and couldn't design without, because they're so intrinsic to my design process, bringing in analog and technical and digital. So the inspiration for my projects usually is quite fantastical. I get it from reading and observing the world around me, and it's usually rooted in mythology and lovely things like that that are steeped in narrative, because that's really how I work and how I love to tell stories through my work. So it's usually inspired by lots of Renaissance painters, of course lots of museum trips. I'm really inspired by the world around me, so a lot of my designs are rooted in biophilia and the beliefs of that about bringing the nature and the outside world inside, and that really brings me together with my passion for designing for interiors. And then that kind of goes hand in hand with my love for narrative and mythology. So lots of my work is quite fantastical, it's out of this world, taking the real world and abstracting it and making it a little bit more magical and exciting. When I start a new project, it always starts with drawing from life. It's something I learnt when I was a student and has served me really, really well so far. I always start with a trip or seeing something visually, so I have to look at something and explore that thing visually and then work from that to create the fantastical things that I do. So I'll usually be ferrying between Swansea and London, going to lots of different museums. So a lot of my favourites are the Victoria and Albert Museum and especially the Wallace collection, because they've got a fantastic range of indulgent, decadent everything that's just really lovely to be in and around and drawing from, which really inspires me to create for interiors based on that luxurious decadence. So I'll draw on location, I'll take my sketchbook with me, you'll usually find me sitting down in the museum, that's how we were taught to kind of take in everything, to be really rooted in the moment and drawing from really like loosely and engaged in that moment. And then I'll take those drawings and my sketchbooks back home with me and I'll do more research into the topics and ideas I've had while I'm sitting there within the museums and walking around and enjoying that kind of research process. and that'll start helping me to pin down where the project is going, what kind of colour palette it is, what's the topics, any other further reading I need to do, because I love doing further reading and research, and that's kind of where the project will come to life then, and I can really see where it's going to end up, and then I start making through the experimentation process. So my work right now that I'm really passionate about, it takes lots of different forms, but the one I'm constantly trying to focus on is my business. That's Naomi Elizabeth Design, which is focused on designing for interiors and home, and a little bit of gift as well. So it encompasses lots of different things. I work across textiles, which is what I found out to be my passion from my studying. And it goes across to lots of different things. So I do a lot of laser cutting, which kind of rooted me in university. So I do a lot of that in the gift sector, and creating and making, which is why I kind of consider myself a designer maker all in one. So I'm a bit of a wearer of many hats. My work is, as I've said before, is really fantastical. It kind of encapsulates that love of nature, but in a really weird and wonderful way. So there's lots of kind of flora and fauna that don't really exist in real life as we know it, so they're abstracted out from real forms, taking in inspiration from a lot of taxidermied animals and abstracting their shapes, giving them new and interesting forms, and also bringing in all those references that aren't so physical. So it's reading on mythology and fable and bringing that together to create beautiful patterns that are applied to a range of different surfaces, like my textiles, my silk scarves, a bit of everything really. So the main part of how I work is that everything is hand rendered. It's a big part of my USP that I developed studying and have brought into my graduate life. I draw everything hand illustrated with graphite pencils, that is then taken into digital means to be coloured and then put onto all my different lovely things. The hand-rendered aspect is really important to me, as it's a big part of me, myself, and my practice. So I always have to start with something physical, whether it's sitting in a museum and drawing a really loose sketch of something, which I then take home and then sit and think about and do that physical research process of looking through books and magazines and going through libraries and a lot of rifling through lots of different things and collecting bits. I'm a bit of a trinket collector as well, which really fuels into that. And it's all by hand, by eye, seeing, and then using my creative skills and my love for narrative and storytelling to kind of abstract those out and bring them into something that doesn't really exist as we know it, but is kind of in that imagined space, and then bringing that onto things that we can have in our homes, like cushions, like lampshades, and all those lovely things that we can surround ourselves in, still rooted in nature. So that's why pencil and hand rendering are really important to my practice. And then I combine that with my other passion of digital. So it's digital techniques, and bringing that into a digital space where I can have more freedom to kind of change colour and abstract forms out more, and add and collaborate and contrast and all these lovely things that I can bring together in the pattern making process, which is so intrinsic to how I am and my kind of like working ways, to culminate in these lovely repeating patterns that I use across my work. So since graduating, I've been in that weird liminal space where you're trying to figure out who you are as a designer and where you can work and how you work. So I've been doing lots of experimentation, working with others, collaborating with others to kind of find out what works best for me and how to keep up with all the things I really loved doing in university. So screen printing and laser cut were a big part of me as a student learning how to be a designer, and I wanted to continue working with that post-graduation essentially. So I engaged with a lot of different workshop activities, so I've been doing a lot of that with lots of lovely screen printing workshops, leading workshops like that. And I'm involved with the university in a multiple of different roles across the past 2 years, engaging in all the lovely things I do, sharing with others, being able to skill share with students and staff, and it's really just been a brilliant experience that has really fed into me as a designer and maker. Having the freedom post-graduation essentially to kind of take in all the skills that I've learned, because we learn so much, they throw so much at you in such a small space of time. In 4 years it goes by so quickly. I've had the freedom and space to explore all the skills I've learned and to really hone in on areas that I've really enjoyed. I love screen printing onto textiles, and I love working in a way which is quite playful, which I didn't do as a student because I was so focused on, oh my god, I've got to do all these amazing lovely things ready for graduation. But I've kind of taken a step back and just learnt how to kind of create through the play, and being really experimental and bringing really simple elements together and creating amazing things from just really basic screen printing techniques and processes. And the same with laser cutting, really. It's going back to basics and just enjoying the process of doing it and not focusing so much on the outcome. Whilst my passions and kind of techniques lie in that hand rendering and really intricate hand creating, I also really recognise the benefits and the power of digital technology, especially now, how we're living now. And that's really been what I've pushed for in the past couple of years, to learn how to use all the digital technologies we have available to us to make my work even better, and how I can use that to teach others and to teach others to learn and engage with those skills and those lovely techniques and craft processes that they might not have thought that they'd be able to. So right now I'm working on lots and lots of different things, as is natural when you're a designer and you're trying to make it on your own. I've been involved in lots and lots of different workshops, community group workshops, which have been so valuable to me, because I learn how to share my skills with others and also learn from others whilst doing so, which is a really big part of my passion for design. It's learning from others and teaching others what I know, and it's kind of that symbiotic relationship where everyone makes each other better by doing these lovely things related to art and craft. Alongside all the brilliant community workshops and things I've been able to get involved with, I am still working with the university in lots of different forms. I've been able to work with the students really closely in roles in the surface pattern and textiles department, which I am so grateful for the opportunity, and I've learnt so much from doing. I've also been working on the Craft Hub project, making samples for the material library, really pushing my practice to create a library of all the amazing things we can do in the surface pattern and textiles department, and really showcasing how we can use basic techniques to create lots and lots of amazing different artworks, and how they're all so valuable, and how it's worthwhile keeping up with those craft processes and documenting them and sharing with others. I really consider myself to be aware of many hats, and whether that's because I just can't decide what I want to do, or whether it's because I just love doing everything and getting involved with everything and doing all these amazing things and sharing all these amazing skills. I've really been pushing my innovative practice over the past few years and looking for new techniques to keep myself unique and keeping myself relevant, and really pushing to get things seen by others of my work. So I've really been trying to be really innovative and using new processes, and that's kind of culminated in my Eternal Bloom flowers. So they are sustainably sourced plywood that I source myself, and I laser cut them. Everything is done by me by hand, bringing in all those hand rendered passions and intrinsic to my practice. I laser cut them myself, I sand them, I prime them, and I UV print them from my own hand rendered designs, which go from hand rendering, colouring, digitising, and then printed on these lovely plywood sheets that are finished by me, and then they are ready for sale. They've been touring around the UK, so I've had the brilliant opportunity to take part in lots of different exhibitions since graduating. I participated in One Year In from New Designers, which was a really valuable experience as a designer, as an individual, rather than going with the university, and I was supported by the university, which was just so wonderful. But I really had the first opportunity to get my work seen by industry and to get eyes on it and see what people thought, and took back so much brilliant feedback. from 2022, and since then I've gone from essentially just bounced from exhibition to exhibition. From London I joined Green Grads, which is an initiative for sustainably thinking new graduates. So I was able to go across from London to Manchester in lots of different exhibitions with Green Grads, showing my work, getting people's opinions and continuing to develop and work on it. So it's gone through a long process of me getting in all these brilliant opinions and thoughts and ideas and taking those and continuing to work on them now. And they're still being worked on and still being innovated, and I'm still producing new designs for them. So they're really showcasing their value and their life as a product for my kind of product portfolio. And they hold such an important place in my heart because of that. I'm looking forward into the future, into what exhibitions I can continue to be involved in. There's lots in the works. I'm looking forward to being in and around all the other creative businesses again, and being in that environment where everyone is so supportive and engaged, and it's really motivating and helps me to work forward and work towards and look towards new things that I can be doing. We're constantly pushing each other in our circles, which is really great, and I've developed a really good network of artists and designers like me who are recently graduated still and are still trying to find their feet and are still pushing the boundaries of what design is and how we can engage in that art world. I'm pushing for more workshops and collaborative opportunities, which I really enjoy and I feel are really important to my practice as a designer. So I've got lots of those in the works for the rest of this year and onwards, working with others, working with students especially that were in my place at one point, and supporting them and learning from them as well, because there's so much to learn from everyone around me and I'm constantly trying to take in new things and learn from others. So it's lots of looking forward to new workshops, new exhibitions and new work. If I was to give advice to an aspiring maker, that was in my place a few years ago, it would definitely be to take every opportunity that you are handed and to grasp them really tight and really engage with every opportunity you can. Because every minute you spend working on something you're passionate about and really honing your craft and learning new skills and developing your techniques is all going to benefit you and yourself as a designer, as an artist, as a maker, whatever field you find yourself in the creative atmosphere. It's all going to be building you up into where you're going to be in the next few years, and will all be really valuable into who you're going to become.